Hi everyone, Jeremy Scott here. Welcome to another episode of the Re-Emerging Earth, the No Frills podcast, which talks about lots of spiritual things to help us and guide us through the dark times we currently are in, out the other side into a more enlightened way, onto a more enlightened path. I'm not in the park today. I've actually come to a local cemetery where I occasionally come as well to record videos or podcasts, because basically it's nice and peaceful, as you would imagine. And it kind of fits to today's theme that I'm here. I was just thinking that actually on the way here, because as you know, I don't really prepare for these episodes as such. I don't have scripts. I have an idea, I have a couple of maybe bullet points in my mind that I want to cover, and then I just launch myself into it and see what comes out. If I feel it's okay, then it ends up as an episode. But I'm here because I just feel it's the right kind of atmosphere for what I want to kind of discuss. There's a card in Colette Baron Reid's Wisdom of the Oracle deck called Round and Round, and you know, that kind of fits how we view life in general, isn't it? That's how we view things. I mean, life itself goes round and round in the sense of it's a cycle. We're born, we live our life, then we die, and for most people they just believe either that's all there is, or that they go to another place such as heaven or somewhere else, and that's all there is to it. For others like myself, we feel or know, if you like, that's what we believe, that yes, we are born, we live our lives, we carry out maybe a certain task we were meant to do, then when we pass on from this life we go back to where we came from, and then we get reborn should we choose to do so. So it's a continuous cycle in that way. That's why where I am today is quite fitting, because it kind of represents that. And we look at other things in cycles as well, whether it's to do with the cycle of seasons, the hourly cycle, the cycle of the moon phases, how we circle the sun, how we orbit around that, and how the universe is cyclical, because it's also sort of turning. The galaxies themselves are also within that turning, and we think things are very cyclical, very more like a circle than anything else. And I remember, it would have been 15, I think it was. I was in a physics class and we were actually having a biology lesson. At that time, the biology teacher and physics teacher were one, and he wanted to show us what a cell looks like. And maybe when you were at school you might have seen these as well. When you look at a cell, the breakup of a cell all the way down to the atom, and that, it looks like, and I immediately thought at the time, it just looks like a solar system. Got the central part and everything else that's orbiting around it. And that central part would have been equivalent to an atom. Now obviously today we know there's even smaller particles. It goes way beyond the atom, you know, into even smaller quarks and all kinds of things. And there's a lot of space there, which we know is dark energy, and we know that contains other little particles and so on as well. So our education in that sense is evolving, isn't it? It's changing all the time. So I certainly believe then that everything was a cycle. They just went round and round in that sense. And I even wrote, was a lyric stroke poem called Worlds Within Worlds, where it talked about everything was like a world within a world within a world within a world kind of thing. Actually, for my age, it was quite deep, you know, in that sense. You know, because I was considering, you know, here's us, we're made up of trillions of cells, and those trillions of cells are also made up of different, so many numbers of parts that could also number into the trillions. But we're also part of a universe, solar system, galaxy, universe, made up of trillions of stars. For you birdie people, if you can recognise what that call is it a woodpecker or something like that? I don't know. There's a lot of birds coming out and about these days, obviously because it's a lovely day as well, lovely spring day. So that's bringing them out. Anyway, to get back to it. Thing is, that card that I mentioned earlier on from Colette Baron Reid's Oracle deck, it's not about just going round and round, because we feel we are like that. We feel that we're stuck in a certain kind of path. We look at events that are happening right now, whether that's in Russia, Ukraine, or whether that's in Myanmar, or whether that's in Yemen, or Syria, or Afghanistan, all these kinds of places where there are conflicts. In Democratic Republic of Congo, there's stuff going on there. Nigeria, there's stuff going on there that you don't really get to hear about. And we think, well, it's all happened before. Why haven't we learned the lessons? It just seems to be going round and round. Truth of the matter is, it is changing. Because the meaning of that card, round and round, means we're in a spiral. And obviously with a spiral, you can go up or down. However, if you are learning, then you are spiraling upwards. And I feel that we have learned, if we go back to time immemorial, how we carried out the ways to protect our families, protect our territories, protect our farms and so on. That has evolved over the millennia. It's not quite so brutal today as it used to be. When you think about it, battles a few hundred years ago weren't fought with guns or missiles. It was all hand-to-hand combat with swords and sabres and pitchforks and whatever else you could grab onto. Rocks and stones and all kinds of things. It was very brutal. People were getting mutilated or killed, heads chopped off the lot. Today it's more remote, yes, but not as many perhaps in the 21st century are being hurt, killed, as maybe even in the last century when we had the two big wars. So we are learning lessons, but we haven't learnt the lesson yet. We're still going round and round, but gradually we are rising up that spiral. And I believe we are, as a consciousness, as a nation, a human nation, we are rising up above those levels of negativity. My personal opinion is there is a wonderful wave of positivity going around the world at this moment in time. And every time we think or feel in a more positive way, we are adding to that energy. And that energy then, that wave is gaining momentum. It's increasing, it's gaining power. And that, in time, is helping us to move up a spiral and helping us then to overcome all this negativity that we have around us right now because of the situations that we are in. As I said before, the reason why we've got all this negative stuff is because it's resisting the positivity that's rising up. And the more that positivity rises, the stronger it gets, then also the resistance is tougher. And that's why we're getting a lot of the situations that we have today. And even though it's it's a horrible thing that's happening, we don't like people getting killed or displaced and things like that, and excuse me, it's not just in Russia, Ukraine, or Ukraine in particular, it's other parts of the world as well. Have you noticed how it's brought people together? Have you noticed how united we are about that particular situation? That's the kind of positivity I'm talking about, where we are reaching out, wanting to help others in their time of need. Now, wouldn't it be nice if we did that all the time, everywhere? Now, obviously, with the media, they only cover certain areas where it has a more impactful energy, because the media are based on sensationalism. That's how they sell their news, so to speak. So the more sensational it is, the greater response they will generate. And usually it's a sort of a negative nature, so they don't really help in that way. However, there are those who are putting more positive slants to these negative stories. And it's people that I call in the global spiritual community. If you are helping others to improve their lives through positive action, then you're part of the global spiritual community. Now, that's how I look at it. If you're helping people to find a home so they're no longer homeless, if you're helping people to put food on the table by being a food bank charity, whatever it happens to be in that way, you're part of the global spiritual community. You don't have to be doing something big like spiritual teaching or personal development guru or anything like that. Everyone can be part of the global spiritual community if you're working either alone or with a group or with an organization or a charity, something like that, and you're helping to bring positivity into people's lives, helping them to find a way to live a happier and more fulfilled life, then you're part of the global spiritual community. And that includes all those who are active because of the climate situation. That all comes into it. That's all positive action as well, because we want to maintain this home that we have, this earth school, this training ground, whatever you want to call it. We want to maintain it in a good place so that we can continue to use this place as an area to gain experience, to live, to grow, have children and the like, and to move forward. So anything to do with that, repairing the damage that we've done ourselves through our misguided perceptions and so on, is good. That's all part of the global spiritual community, as I like to call it. It's not an official community, so it's all part of the greater consciousness in that way as well. Yeah, so all that's happening right now, we are not spiraling downwards, we are actually spiraling upwards. Now, here's another thing as well. Recently, researchers noticed that our auras aren't just one blanket of energy surrounding us, it's actually spiral form. So the energy that we have around us are spirals, and the same with our chakras, they're spirals. If you notice in some, especially the more ancient drawings of chakras, they tend to show them as spirals, as vortexes or vortices, whatever you want to call them, whatever the correct message is for that, or correct wording is for that. It's all spiral. The energy is spiraling. Even with the stars, like black holes, the energy is spiraling inwards. Now, it's all not so much just circles on 2D paper or a globe. It's spiraled energy, and it has a beginning, and obviously it has an ongoing kind of, I wouldn't say end, but it has an ongoing capacity. Has to start somewhere, and it spreads out and gets bigger and stronger as it does do. So we are most definitely spiraling upwards. Each time we go round in a cycle, we're that little bit higher than where we were before, and in time we will reach that point where we'll be on a more enlightened path. So places where, like where I am now in this graveyard, in this cemetery, isn't the end. In many cases, for a lot of the ones who are resting here, or at least their physical presences are resting here, their souls have actually started to begin new lives in that sense. So on that note, nice and cheerful, let's finish there. Love to hear your thoughts. So leave your thoughts in the comments as always, and I'll look forward to speaking with you once again very, very soon. Until then, namaste.